Ah, a good old friend, Mitch Morse, joins us in the basement one more time. Looking great, but got a little something going on up here, pal. What's going on with that?
I got French fried outside, dude. Absolutely French fried. I thought I'd fully immerse myself in the retired life here in Florida, and pickleball got me pretty good. Uh, it was fun, but I got like Icarus legitimately way too close to the sun and got frisked. Yeah, forgive me if I look like I'm on fire
You look
because I
awesome,
am.
dude. You look
Yeah.
awesome, man. And by the way, so unfair. You're a 30 something, almost still a pro athlete, and playing against 65-year olds. Come on, man.
No, we actually have quite the retired contingency here of young athletes in Jacksonville, strangely.
Okay.
So it's just us and then a guy I work with, still working out with, and he's kind of our pickleball shaman, and he just gives us the business. So I haven't quite reached up to the level of the geriatrics, who I know will just absolutely wheel and deal and cook you. I haven't gotten quite there yet. I'm still trying to figure out the whole deal, but in the process of doing so, um, yeah, let's just say aloe vera is, I'm bathing in it right now.
I have never ever played pickleball, and yet everybody I've talked to that plays it says it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, so I was kind of in the same boat. I was skeptical as well. And then once you get the taste for it, it really is fun, and it's social still to a certain extent. Not the way I play, which is huffing and puffing, but um, it's cool, and I think you can do it with anyone. So I'm still figuring it out. I've only done it twice, so I can't be here being like the national spokesman for it, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Different kind of workout too, right? From what I've been told.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on who you're playing with. I found that the guys I was playing with, their heart rates didn't get above probably 110, and mine was cooked up to like 160, 170. So either I'm doing it poorly or I'm putting way too much effort into it. So we're figuring it out.
That's fantastic. And it look, I mean, to your point, it helps with your competitive spirit. Clearly, I mean, you that's what you've done basically your whole life, in
Sure.
athletics and competition. So that's really really cool. Is there aspirations at some point in your life to go pro? I know that's a thing now.
Yeah, no, I found that it's interesting. Certain sports you think if you like football doesn't you can't football, you can't do this, basketball, you can't do this, but like so say golf, tennis, or pickleball, you hear these Joe Schmoes like us, but give me 5 years really grinding, I could make the PGA Tour, I could make it pro, and the fact is you can't, you know. No, so I'm just gonna play socially, see what happens, and hopefully not blow anything out while I'm doing it.
By the way, how is your golf game lately?
Dog,
Oh
terrible.
no.
Well, so I could play to a point where I could be functional on the course and go out, and then I got these lessons from this guy at next to my house here, and super nice guy, probably my age, and you kind of got to break it down to build it back up. And dude, by the end of it, I was dog cussing. It was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life because I turned into an absolute child, and now I can't get the ball off the ground. So I'm sticking to pickleball right now, and I'm really a golf cart warrior. If I go golfing, I'm really just. In fact, a few guys came down from Buffalo here, like Spencer Brown and Ryan Vandermark came down this past weekend. We all played TPC, saw the stadium course at TPC Sawgrass, and it turned in to me after one hole the most expensive round of putt putt golf I've ever played because I only putted because I don't want to go out there and not have fun. And if I'm just duffing every shot, and these guys can actually like play golf. I'll sit there, promote it, drink some beers, and just find a place to putt. Really try to dial that in.
You
So it
took
was
a
fun.
you took a shot off the tee at the island hole, right? I mean, you had to, right?
No, I can tell you by then I had really spanked so many balls out of bounds that I filmed everyone who could actually get it to the island. It was cool. It was like the sun was going down. We had all it was a hot day. Like they chose one of the hottest days to come down here, and we were cooked, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, based on everything, the guys that you just talked about, and I know obviously Josh's history in terms of like his golf and his antics on the golf course. I can't imagine what the antics were like with you and Spence and Ryan out there as
Yeah,
well.
well, we also had Gabe with us too because Gabe's still here while
Yep.
he's between places, and yeah, I think we were all playing such sorry ass golf. I mean, me by far. Like they actually hit some really nice shots. Uh, by like 4 or 5 holes, like, listen, we're here. We paid our left nut to play. Let's just have some fun. Yeah,
Right.
that is cool.
So then the swing juice did not kick in, is what you're telling me.
No amount of swing juice is going to help me at any point. I mean, it was like 100 degrees out there, so the only swing
Right.
juice we had was we had this gallon jug of water we kept filling up, and we were just housing.
Right.
So,
That's hysterical. Well, that's funny because like we're sort of cutting to the chase now about, retirement and what do you do and blah 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 and what are you doing to plan to fill out all this new time you're going to have that you didn't have before. And then obviously the extension of that is your brand new honeydew list.
oh well, it's interesting. When I retired, I thought, all right, now I'm going to totally attack the domestic lifestyle, right? And I found myself hovering around my wife, like just to help. And it turns out she's had this whole life without me for years. And she's got her process. She does, and she goes, Mitchell, listen, I appreciate you, but you're freaking me out. If I have anything for you to do, I will. Um, I'll tell you. And she's always been good about that. So we've kind of slowly over time kind of fallen into um, what the natural order is day to day. And you do find yourself being busy doing nothing, which is, I think, my favorite part of retirement is being so slammed with so many things that are not really like, oh, we have to go to the beach or we have to go play. It's just really fun.
Yeah,
Really
that's
fun.
great. Good for you. Good for you. And
Thank
I
you.
know, a lot of the guys, but you already have kept in touch with a lot of the guys, but a lot of the guys say the one thing about retirement that they dread or they anticipate happening is that loss of the locker room and that culture and that routine that you've had for,
Sure.
20 something years for you. You're obviously not there yet. It sounds like you're still having a blast and you've met a lot of new people and yada, 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 and that you're going to be able to do that. But at some point, it's going to hit you, right? Where when you're not
Sure.
in that locker room, you're not in that competitive place, you're trying to watch football and you're diagnosing and you're like, I don't know if I want to diagnose this much, but anyway, um, how are you planning for that? Or are you just going to let it happen?
I think it's a good question. I was kind of anticipating in phases of it hitting me at certain points, like the first time guys report to OTAs. And so far, it's been nothing but great for me here. And I'm sure that'll be something towards like in the thralls of season, training camp you won't miss. But you'll miss the camaraderie parts, and then like a big win, you see your teams that you go out or that you've been a part of, and guys you've been around with in the league all over, kind of enjoying those. Um, but listen, my elbows can't do this anymore. So there's a certain part of this that's just like I also feel like I truly squeezed everything out of it that I could. I played far above what I probably should have been playing just because how much I put into it, and I wasn't going to get any better, and it's always hard as a catch-22. You can always think back, and after you do, you have perspective of what you would do differently. But um, that as is the way of life. But that's a long-winded way of saying I'm sure that at some point this year it'll be hard to what you had tested to. It'll be the relationships, the camaraderie, and the ball busting that you really can't pull off anywhere else because of HR departments or just yeah, it's just the truth, right? So
Right.
we'll see. So far it's been really great, and I'm sure there'll be this ebbs and flows.
Okay, so when we're taping this, like yesterday, the announcement that the Hard Knocks was happening for the Bills and training camp came out. Any thoughts on that? So I will start with my thoughts on it first, and it'll be quick. But I think it's going to be awesome. Like I look forward to watching it because I just think that in terms of their leadership group, everything's just going to be exactly the same. You were way closer than I ever was, so you know that group really well. How do you
Sure.
think they'll work with it? And obviously, with the coaching staff and Sean, they're going to say, "Look, guys, this is forget about the cameras, right, and just go play."
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting deal. It's going to be player to players. They're going to have their opinions on it. For me, I was never a fan just because, yeah, I always found training camp already as intrusive as possible with fans watching you and having your opinions, and now you get to broadcast that to the world. But I know that they do a very good job of showing the ins and outs. And for the casual fan, I think it's fantastic. I think for the Bills players, and it'll be an interesting thing to navigate. I know a few guys are looking forward to having that opportunity to be featured. For me, it sounds like a personal nightmare. Like I would, if I was still there, I would be like, the first time you meet these players or the people doing it, I'd be like, listen, I'm not trying to be a dick, but if I see myself on there, we're gonna have a problem, right?
Right.
And but I know not everyone shares that same sentiment, and that's the great thing about it. So you have big personalities, you have big, you have, like you said, leadership qualities on that team, and I think the nice thing is having a coaching staff that's been there for a bit. They know the routine and all that stuff, and it was an interesting catch because usually they do that with teams that are, having this big off-season push of, change. And the Bills really don't have that. But I think it'll be fun to see, the intricacies of it. And thinking it, putting it in the fans' perspective, I think it'd be kind of an interesting thing to see how the ins and outs of training camp divulge. I think the thing that I would hate the most is having a camera in like the offensive line room, right? Because it's a sacred place. Like any
Yeah.
position room, you feel like you can let yourself live. You can be yourself a little bit. You can kind of bust chops, and you can say things that, of course, it's like a group message you don't really mean, or all this stuff. And God help you if it gets out, right? Because you'd be canceled immediately. Um, but now you have to be cognizant of that. So you truly can't let your guard down, I think, at any point. And that would be the biggest thing for me that would be kind of uncomfortable. But it'll be fun to watch. I'll watch it this year because I'm not in it. Yeah,
Right.
so not, I don't have to. Yeah, that and honestly, like I've seen clips of Hard Knocks plenty, but well, when you're in training camp, it's the last thing you want to do is watch any more training camp from anyone else.
Right. Yeah, I get it. So you mentioned something in there about the Bills not really changing very much, and they really didn't, except on the defensive side of the football. And I know
Mm.
about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, just after the draft, there's this big brouhaha on radio and Bean saying, I can't believe you got what do you mean we didn't take a receiver? What's the big deal? But it blew way out of proportion. Again, I had my opinion on that. I was like, hey, look, you know, he's not going to say that to a national guy, probably, but he'll say it to a
Right.
local guy because he knows him, right? Like they have a
Yeah.
relationship already, right? So that's number
Sure.
one. Number two, like everything he said about, dude, we scored 30 points a game. And we went
Right.
out and got defense to get better on that side of the ball. What's the problem? So I'm sure you heard about that. What'd you make of it?
His interaction with the local radio
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. Well, I think when you have that rapport, uh, I'm sure this is a weekly thing that they, Bean talks to these guys, and when you have that time on task, yeah, you're gonna let your emotions fly a little bit more. And I think I'm sure sleep deprivation's real around draft time for these guys. And
Right.
you caught them, and they take a lot of pride in what they do and the plans. This isn't something they'd go on a whim about. So yeah, it wasn't surprising. He's a pretty fiery guy in the best way. He's an interesting dude. Bean's a good person. Very passionate about what he does. Uh, yeah, so it wasn't that surprising to me, but I also thought he had good points. Like, yeah, how can you really criticize an offense that's dropped 30, 35 points? Which, I mean, I hopefully the fans don't forget how hard it is to score points in the National Football League. It's damn hard. And perspective sometimes is gained when you either are with other teams or whatnot. I mean, I remember going from Kansas City my first year. We had one of the most prolific offenses in 2018, like top three in National Football League history. And coming to Buffalo when our defense carried us and we scored, if we scored 20 points a game, that was pretty sweet. And then you hang 30 or 40 points a game. If you average 30 points a game in the NFL, that's a remarkable feat. So of course you want to implement that. You think you got to have targets, and there is no such thing as embarrassment of riches when skill position players, but you got to have guys that vibe and gel. And I thought the interesting thing we saw last year was when you have a guy like Stephon Diggs exit and how everything seemed to open up. And that's not a shot at Stephon. He's a transcending football player, a really good friend of mine. But they showed the mold that they don't need that number one. They kind of, I think was their motto, everyone eats, right? So, and they showed it. And I think if if they were honest with everyone, they scored enough points. And of course, you can say that the defense was one of those things that they thought they could address, and they did. So I think what can you be really upset about? It's not sexy, but what's sexy is holding up a Lombardi trophy. And what's sexy is hanging 40 on someone, and then it's 40-7 is pretty sexy, or 40-20 is pretty sexy score. So Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think they did a good job.
Yeah, I felt like Bills fans sounded like Sabres fans. I'm like, guys, what are you doing here? I mean,
Yeah, well, it's the nature of the beast, right?
I know.
When you're so invested in something like
Yeah.
Bills fans are, you're gonna have opinions.
Do you anticipate coming to a game this year or more than one?
Yeah, no, I do plan on coming up. I think the plan is to make it to the New Orleans game.
Okay.
So I'm going to come up and make it a whole weekend and uh, really get the whole experience this time. I've never tailgated in my life, and I thought, what a great baptism by fire than to. And it's also like the one of the only 1 o'clock games in this first, that's so front loaded in home games too. It's in between two primetime games. Um, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to getting a little loose, seeing the whole ketchup mustard extravaganza, and of course, just the other intricacies and get there early, hang out with some of the guys, and it's also interesting trying to relate to these guys and see them, but also understanding. I remember how routine oriented I was, and how after that Friday practice, that 48 hours prior to the game is sacred. So just trying to mesh with people you can, and it'll be fun.
I don't know if you've hooked up with Brian Mormon yet down in Jacksonville, in that area, but former Bill, obviously, he's a good friend of mine. He's done the podcast a million times, but he has his own little punt corner. He had it when he played here. Fans of his had
Sure.
this little punt corner, so maybe that's a place. If you two get together at some point down there and you decide, hey man, come over to the punt corner. It's pretty fun. Like
The
who would
punt
even
corner.
yeah, who would even think a punter would have his own like fan base? But he did, and
Yeah, I mean, if there's a place to have a fan base for punters, it's Buffalo.
right,
So
right.
the truth.
Um, so I got to ask you about your recent national TV appearance.
Oh, sure, yeah,
Now, was that because typically when player current or ex players come on those shows, it's like kind of like this, right? But
yep.
you were right there on set, which tells me, I don't know, was that sort of an air quote audition? Is this something that you can talk about, or was that
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I could talk about. It was an extremely unique experience, I would say that. I don't know if the platform, like the media platform, gets enough credit for just the people who do really well on that, how much of killers they are in regards to when you have that earpiece in, it's a whole different beast, right? And you're on set, there's so many variables, there's so many moving parts and pieces. And the nice thing about that show, Good Morning Football, was that it was a mixture of both conversational and also relaying information and news, which the conversational piece was much easier for me than having opinions on stuff that I found that I really needed to do my homework on. And they did a great job of kind of giving you the prompts for what the day was before. It wasn't so much an audition as it was like well, it was good tape to put out there if it's something you want to do. It's something you can't take a few years off and then get back into. I've also always hated the talking heads of ex-players who have these hot opinions and really kind of dump on dudes like they've never messed up before. That irks me, but it's what sells. So the Good Morning Football crew was so gracious and really gave me an opportunity to not only sit in a chair for 3 days, which was no small feat, right? Like, or it was just so much fun. It filled the cup up, and it's a show that in the NFL it's been on since 2016, and then you see it, and how many times I've tried to choke down eggs before training camp or breakfast, and the show's on. So it's set that was really unique and cool, and um, I'm hoping to have an opportunity to do it at some point again. I don't know if it's something they see me doing, but uh, yeah, it was really fun, good tape to have, and hopefully being able to be invited back.
I was going to say, man, you were always a really good talker, man. I mean, you were thoughtful, you were smart. It was not something, I mean, maybe internally it was hard for you, but watching you on television, whether it's a post-game press conference or a regular locker room interview, you were always awesome. I mean,
Oh, well, thank
awesome.
you.
I
Thank you.
mean, you weren't afraid to say what you felt, but you were again thoughtful about it and
Sure.
intelligent about it. And I'm wondering if being the position player that you were at center and having to be so smart in terms of line calls and knowing everything that was happening, how much do you think that kind of helped you in the way that you address those other things?
That's a good question. I think there are a lot of very cerebral, super smart, have the full picture centers. I kind of squeaked away with knowing just as much as I needed to about football. And that's probably not the greatest thing to say, but it's the truth, right? Like, yes, you have a lot on your plate. Yes, you have to. There is a cerebral aspect to it where you have to go through this. You break the huddle, you know the play, you know exactly. It's like a memorandum of sorts. It's hard to, or maybe just like checklist that you go through, and then what information do I need to relay and stuff. Um, I don't know how much it translates over to the media realm, or it might. But there's nothing I could be like, yes, I can apply what I did to football and see this is exactly how I did it
Right.
with that. But the fun thing to learn is it's an extremely saturated market with people who are much more qualified to do it. So uh, it's just been fun to even have that opportunity. It was
It's funny.
cool.
It is funny though, like if you think about what the qualifications are, right? Like are the qualifications now like actual intelligence about what you're discussing, or is it because your set is sweet, or because you look like perfect and
Sure.
your outfit's right, your glasses are great, you have perfectly white teeth, like all of these things kind of come into play. And to your point, I don't know. I look at you, not kissing your ass, but like I kind of think you know what you're talking about. So
Well, it's interesting. I think it just depends on the platform that you're speaking, like a
yeah,
podcast platform
yep.
or like a true like sit down CBS stuff, or even if you're calling games, like that's a whole different beast that I definitely don't think those guys get enough credit for doing and being able to think on the fly, getting all that stuff. Um, yeah, no, the one thing I did learn is it doesn't matter how snazzy you look or all that stuff. If you don't know what you're doing, or you're not good at going with the flow or feeding off of your coworkers to say, you're going to fail and it's going to be a detriment to everyone else. So they were also very gracious on, like, even though I felt like I had a very good first day, and then they relayed that, like I was like, what can I work on? And they gave me things that coached me on, and then they gave me examples of stuff that I had done before, and it wasn't anything like don't stutter here, don't say this, but it's just like, hey, be more, project more. Okay, cool. Now the next thing is, all right, so say someone asks you, like the question is, what's the Saints quarterback, competition look like? And then so say you're going to be the second person to give your opinion on, and you've done your research and all this stuff, and you're only locked in on what you're going to say. And this other person's talking right next to you. And say they say the exact thing you were thinking about. Or, so you have to, if that's the case, then you have to be able to,
Improv.
well, not even improv, but working what they're saying. And
Mm-hmm.
no one wants to be on a table like that and feel like it's not conversational, or, maybe you don't agree with them, but being able to work with others, which I thought was going to be more intuitive. But when those lights come on, you really do kind of come into your own bubble and like, oh God, what am I going to say? And I hope I don't stutter or anything. And then the less you think about that, the easier it is to flow, and the conversation goes.
And you did tell Kyle Brandt that you are responsible for all the angry runs, if there ever were ones, from Bill's running backs, correct?
Hell no. No, Kyle was actually out that week, so it was me and Jamie Erdahl and a few of the other players, and Jamie's unbelievable at what she does. And no, I was more of a spectator than those. I found myself I knew it was time to hang up my cleats, especially this last year and even a little bit the year before, when the play would be going on, and I'd find myself like spectating, like, whoa, that's a cool play, and be like, oh shit, no, I'm a part of this play. I got to keep going. So a few of those angry runs, you're just watching from the side, like, oh dang. That's when you knew it was time to probably hang it up.
It is really odd though. Like I just thought about this morning. How many ex Bills are like dominating the national TV landscape now? Like whether it's you were on it, but Fitz obviously,
Oh man, yeah,
Ross Tucker's blowing up. Shady McCoy's on a show. Like all these
yeah,
ex Bills are doing things. I mean, Tasker back in the day did it as a color guy on CBS. Like it's crazy, man. And it means it's a meaningless point, but I just thought like it was, if it's
yeah.
coincidence or whatever it is, I just thought it was kind of interesting.
What? Yeah.
Uh, what are you getting, and or what does his registry look like for Josh in his wedding coming up here? What's the plan?
He's got a lot bigger fish to fry than um he's got so much on his plate. I'll find something to send him at some point. It's what do you get a guy who's got everything,
I
right?
know, right?
Well, you get a guy who's got everything, so I'll find something to send his way because that is it's no small feat getting married, and my limited interaction with Haley has been nothing but remarkable. She's awesome, and of course, a real titan in her field. So I think it works really well with those two. Of course, they love spending time with each other. Their chemistry is great, but also the fact that they both have their own thing going on and then are excelling in both fields. Um, yeah, I think it takes a little pressure off the. I can only speculate. This is nothing I've said, but it probably takes a little pressure off the relationship. So it'll be fun to see him as a married man at some point down the road when I get to see him again, and it'll be cool.
It is funny because I know, the superstars, they're going to get married, and everyone's like, no, no, it's going to ruin
Yeah,
everything. Don't do
no,
it.
no, yeah, you want is happy, happy, healthy, whatever you got to. If you, yeah, usually your personal life propels your,
For sure.
so that's a good thing.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, I know we're a long ways away from the Bill season, so I hope to get you on a little bit closer to it.
Sure.
Obviously, whatever you got the rest of the summer, I would suggest. I mean, I don't know. Your former coach Sean McDermott is a big advocate for sunscreen, so I think maybe you try that out down there over the summer. I know
Yeah,
it gets hot and sunny there, other than here.
well, the shitty thing is I put sunscreen on too, like a
Oh,
fuckload of it. So uh, I I I must have I did something horribly wrong. Tactically, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I look like a tomato, so that
that was
must
an
be said.
SPF. That was an SPF for you.
Something, I guess. Whatever it is, didn't work. So I did get a few more hats that have a little more encompassing. I just sweat so much that these hats that I wear, they turn into just mops on my
Yeah,
head, and it's just almost does more damage. So I gotta fix something. I
yeah.
have to do something. So it's all
It is
good.
always great to catch up, dude. Thank you for doing this, and enjoy the rest of your summer. Get better at pickleball. Get better at golf. You know what they say? It's what 10,000 hours or whatever, and you become an expert. Well, you got that time now.
I did it. Yeah. Thanks.
Best of the
Thanks,
fam
Paul.
to you, man. We'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Sounds good,
I
though. I'll
really
talk to you
appreciate it.
later.
Thanks.
Yeah, see ya.
Dude.